a lot of broadcasts here, but apparently I do. So I want to talk a little bit about spiritual warfare just because, hey, I'm living it right now and nothing really crazy, but I did that whole video yesterday about, YouTube and different ways to safeguard your children, what we do with Liberty. And I just thought it was something the Lord really wanted me to talk about because my goodness, who gets 3 different stories in one day about the dangers of YouTube and just how it has a lot of self-harm involved. So anyways, I just remember today I was retelling the story to somebody, and so after I did that video yesterday, it was the weirdest thing. I was making chicken. I just pulled the chicken out of the oven, and I'm fighting either a cold or allergies or something. And so I went to go blow my nose, and wouldn't you know it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have a bloody nose. Like what in the world? I've never had a bloody nose. And then the dang thing doesn't want to stop. It goes 45 minutes, and I'm like, holy camole, I got to go to the urgent care. Like what's going on? And so I get looked at, and the doctor's like, all right, I just see a little bit up in the front. And so he gives me some medication to help stop it, and whatever, all better now. But at the time it was pretty darn scary. Because I was like, man, I've never had a nosebleed. And I'm like, and then your mind likes to fill in like, what's going to happen if it continues to bleed. You're like, shut up, mind. So anyways, I'm in the middle of warfare. And then it dawned on me as I'm retelling the story today that the very last story that was sent to me yesterday via text was about a mother and a son who were sitting on the floor of their bathroom, and they were watching YouTube while they were waiting for his nosebleed to stop. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is warfare if I have ever been in the midst of warfare. And so one of the things I just wanted to talk a minute about is that when you're taking territory, when you're fighting for hearts, for minds, for souls, that the devil really doesn't like to give that up without a fight, like any good battle. And so, I don't believe that, I think that we should be prayed up. We should be, like Jesus talks about, these demons or these things don't come out without fasting and prayer. We have to be in the right position to handle spiritual warfare. But the reality is very real. And, when you go into these places that as a Christian, when you're taking territory and you're light going in a dark place and you're not just kind of like sitting on the side of the road, but you're running the race, the reality is you will encounter, I find them mild frustrations more often than not. They're really just annoying, frustrating things that you just have to kind of like deal with and get through. And so, but what I do when I encounter these things is that you want to, I believe it's in the book of Joel, where it talks about the different types of locusts, the consuming locust, the crawling locust. And so it's just, I want payment. I want payment from the devil for all of the different things and frustrations that he's causing for me. So if I'm losing time, right, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So if he's stealing time from me, if he's stealing emotions, if he's ruining and destroying relationships, if lives are being destroyed, I want payment for that. And I think that there is a biblical precedent for that. And to say that, you know what, Lord, like I want double payment. I want to be repaid for everything that he's stolen from me. And so a couple different examples. One is outside of yesterday's, but even sometimes when you're just trying to walk in the will of God and do what the Lord wants you to do. When I was selling our first house that Larry and I had was a townhouse, and so I went to go sell it, and there was this gorgeous house on the other side of town, and it was like it would be a new construction, and this is back when like the market totally crashed in Florida. And I'm getting that. It's like a steal, right? Like it's a steal for what I'm getting it for. And so I'm trying to sell the house. And so we get a contract on it. That falls through. We get another contract on it. That falls through. I ended up having to have 3 contracts on this house that all fall through. And then at the same time, every major appliance in the house breaks. I'm talking refrigerator, washer, dryer. We end up having like a really bad rainstorm, and there's all this water that comes down in the wall, and so we have to have that dried out. And so I get to the point where I'm in the house and I'm by myself, right? But I get so frustrated and fed up. A lot of times you don't realize it's warfare until later on, right? Like in the midst of it, sometimes you don't realize it's warfare, but later on you're like, wait a minute, this is like too much to be random. And so I got so mad at the house, and I just started I yelled at the house. I said, you will sell, and you will not sell for less than this amount. And I literally yelled at it like really loud. And then finally we sold the house, right? And we got out of that one, and we got into the new house. And when I went to sell that house to move to Dallas, we did very well on it. And so much so that I was like, okay, if this doesn't work out, we're good. I'm safe. The Lord is good about giving me peace of mind like that. So I appreciate that about him. And then, what else? I had another example I was going to tell you guys just about different warfare, but it left me. And maybe I'll put it in the comments or something like that. But the reality is these things are real. Warfare is real. And I remember what it was. Okay. All right. I don't know if I can share this, but anyways, I had a friend. I could share it. I'll just say it's a friend. I had a friend. I had a friend. It's not me. It's somebody else, but I don't know if they want to be like broadcast on for all 13 people of you to like hear that are watching. But I had a friend where she had a horse, and the horse was really great, and she was on somebody else's property, and the horse just kind of goes a little crazy and ends up hurting itself, and to the point where it has to be put down. And it's, again, you're like, man, kill, steal, and destroy, right? Here's a great horse, and it's now dead. And, you're looking at it, you're like, man, that's really not fair. So I remember sitting there, and I remember praying. I had another friend there, and we were praying for this friend, and we said, Lord, we want double. I want double payment back. I want that. Give me double for this loss. And wouldn't you know it, she got 2 horses, 2 random times, but the lady's like, I feel so bad about what happened. Take any horse you want. Take any horse that we have here. You can have that horse. And then she got another one too, a little bit later. So my point is, when you come across spiritual warfare, okay, 1, it's expected if you're taking territory. Expect it. It should feel like mild annoyances, inconveniences, things like that. It should not be, major, I don't know. Losing a horse is probably a major deal. So I don't know. Just in my life, I find it as really annoying and inconvenient and frustrating. And I have to not give in emotionally I feel worn down. I feel broken down. Oh, me, poor me. I have to safeguard my mind against those types of things in the midst of it. And not go off down like fear path. Like last night, my brain's like, oh, you're going to bleed out. I'm like, shut up, brain. Like, you don't know. Like, we don't actually know that, brain. And it's like you have this fear voice that's like hypochondriac, wants to talk you into like, oh my God, I'm going to pass out. I'm going to pass out because I'm losing so much blood. And you're like, no, like, you're going to pass out because you're so worked up. Duh. And so anyways, I asked the doctor while I was there, like, listen, my brain likes to like be a total jerk to me a lot of times. So like, what is the amount of blood that I would lose? And so just so everybody knows, you've got 5 liters of blood inside of you. And the hey, this is probably a major issue is if you lose 1 liter of blood. So you think about like a liter, right? Like think like a Coke bottle is normally 2 liters, right? Like if you get a big one. So I'm like, gosh, that's a lot of blood. And he's like, that's acute blood loss too. And like all at one time, not like slowly dripping out over days. So if you're ever worried about it, you find yourself in that situation. Also, nosebleed, pro tip, is the nasal decongestant. If you spray it in there and let it sit there and then clamp it, it'll stop it. So just letting you know, all the moms out there, pro tip. But yeah, so my point is, expect warfare if you're taking territory, and try to manage your emotions to the best of your ability, right? And your thought life to the best of your ability. Pray like we always do. And then when you realize it's warfare, right? Like I realized it later today when I was retelling the story to somebody else. I was like, wait a minute. In that last story, that little boy had a nosebleed. I was like, this is warfare, which gives license to me to ask for repayment. So lost time, lost emotions, stressed my daughter out. I'm like, my nose is bleeding. She's like, Mom, are you okay? I'm like, I want repayment for all of that. And so what I try to do is just make it so painful for the devil of asking for a repayment that he just wants to skip me and say, never mind. I'm going to go to somebody else that doesn't know to ask for repayment, and they're just going to have to deal with it. So I want to encourage you all to ask for double, triple, whatever you're going through. Just stop and say, no, devil, no, I want repayment, and this isn't what's going to happen. So I'm going to do that over my own life and over last night's crazy situation. Shout out to Mom for taking me to urgent care. But, you know, it's just something that I think we should all be aware of and know about. So, you guys, if you got any stories like that, like where you have spiritual warfare and you've claimed repayment, and you've gotten something back, then, you know, please share it in the comments. I'd love to know all about it. All right, so you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Everybody be blessed, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.